Hello. Okay, so we're back. We're here with Jason. We're gonna be talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
You are art creative director.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's right. Yeah.
Art man. That's what it is.
Yeah,
You're
art
kind
stuff.
of an art man.
Yeah.
You know what
Art
that's
man.
like.
Yeah, I am art man too. We art men.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so this was a surprise to see because no one really knew this thing existed. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was one of the most cinematic trailers we got to see over the weekend. It was almost like a movie was happening, then all of a sudden, oh, there's a fight happening in the movie, and this is a game we're gonna play, that kind of thing. Walk us through the concepting of this game.
Oh man, where to start? You
were 5.
Yeah, I was 5. Ghost of Tsushima started. We finished Second Son. We did this, kind of a standalone First Light, and big question comes up. What are we going to do next? And Sony was really cool about, hey, you guys take time and be ambitious. And we took a little time to figure out what that was. And as soon as Nate and I kind of circled in on a samurai game, and we realized we have this great partnership with Sony and J Studio and other people to help us make it happen. We just kind of dove right in, and then we took trips to Japan. Went on film trips there, recording trips there. I went to Tsushima Island. Kind of all just blossomed from there, though.
That's fantastic.
So, big departure from your previous games. Infamous is like you're a superhero, you have crazy superpowers.
Yeah.
This is a little more grounded.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the setting of Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah. So, the one of the things I really like about the demo that we showed is we were going for this grounded, visceral combat, but that can't be the only thing, by itself. We really want to show the world that to make that special, because it just can't be by itself. To make that special, we want to show this beautiful, cinematic, very open, ambitious, transportative world. And those two kind of marry together really well. You show this unbelievably beautiful world, and then you get into like spaces where you might be chopping a guy's arm off.
Yeah.
It's really a really nice marriage. They kind of reinforce each other.
Yeah, there's a point in the trailer where the hero gets on his horse and just crests over a hill,
My favorite
and we just
spot.
get that. And I think there was an
favorite spot by
audible
far.
like,
Yeah, we're all watching it like, wow.
That moment, man, I love that moment.
Yeah.
From the first time we saw it, like we got the music in there. Our music is composed by a Japanese composer named Shigeru Umebayashi, and that whole scene just came alive.
It's beautiful. It looked like this game was going to be dictated by a lot of character choices and dialogue and that kind of thing, and that he can kind of be, making some moral choices along the way. How's that going to figure into the narrative of the game?
So the narrative of the game. So first off, it's kind of interesting. We wanted to make a giant world. In order to make a giant world where you go to that vista right there, and you if you can see it, we want you to be able to go to it, and that means you have to get, as a studio, you have to get really good at telling side stories. You have to put energy into that. So the actual demo is actually a part of a side story.
That was
when I found that out, I was like, what?
Yeah. So
this felt like the intro to the game of like,
Right.
oh, this is going to be the opening of the game. It's like, nope, side quest.
Yeah, it's just we're trying to say, hey, it's a really big world, and we want you to have kind of meet characters along the way. But Jin's story is kind of it's simple, and therefore we can put a lot of energy into the heart of it. But it's Jin is a samurai, and once this island has been invaded, most of everyone he knows and loves is gone. And so he has to kind of adapt and learn new ways of fighting, which we show a little bit, and meet some people along the way that help him along this journey and kind of convince him that he may need to try to do this hard thing, shed a little bit of his honor in order to become this Ghost of Tsushima. This is kind of a transformation for him. That is kind of the story, and all the people that you meet along the way are kind of, beats around that story.
So watching this gameplay trailer, it's very clear that like every frame of this looks like a movie. It's very cinematic. How core was that to your philosophy when making
Was there
this game?
did you guys actually take time to watch a bunch of movies and take references from that?
Oh yeah.
I would imagine it feels
the
like you're going
reference library of samurai films is kind of ridiculous. It's, like I didn't even know some of them existed, and it's kind of amazing. There's just it'd blow your mind, to see the how many there actually are. But yes, we watched a lot, a lot of Kurosawa films. He's actually got a documentary called Composing Movement, which is about cinematography and his filmmaking techniques. People kind of dissected the way he does things. And actually the opening shot, that really long fairly long opening shot where it's just this guy and his horse walking out, and everything in the frame is moving. That's kind of a core pillar of the art direction for the game. If it can move, it should be moving by wind.
That's great.
You know, and which is, you know, it's the technical, you know, hurdle. You know, it's a lot of art, it's a lot of text, a lot of rigging. But it's an important part because it makes you feel like you're not only in Japan, but maybe it takes you back to samurai cinema if you've ever watched it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a huge part of it. Also the colors too. You know, like movies like Ron. Ron is not a lot of color, then pops of color. Not a lot of color, then pops of color. You know, definitely inspiration there as well.
Yeah, the fight at the end of the trailer of him versus his friend felt like the climax of a film in itself. Again, side quest.
Yeah.
But it felt like we were just watching the end of a movie. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So we obviously have discussed that what was shown in the trailer was a side quest and not a main story mission. So obviously there's things to do outside of a main story quest.
Yeah.
Well, how is the open world structured, and what sort of things are there available to the player?
So I can't talk about too much just yet. We'll talk about a lot more later. But you know, the goal for us, I kind of said it a little bit earlier, is we wanted to really show. There's a lot to show, right? It's our first time showing. We have horse, terrain, open world. And we really wanted to show. We actually, if you notice, there's not a lot of HUD up.
Yeah.
You know, that's our goal is to be extremely sharp about the things that we wanted to communicate to our our fan base and the players for the first time. So we actually intentionally left some things out a little bit. Like there will be some UI, but it will be very minimal. But the goal is only putting up the kinds of UI that actually really truly matter. So to get to your point, your question. You know that very first stamp that pops up and it says Mongol Invasion Day 9? The kanji actually says something different. It actually says forest of no return, or no return forest. And it may sound abstract, but it's actually connected to the theme of the area that you're going to. So each section in the world, it's a big world for us. It's so ambitious, so big. We just can't go make it all just randomly. We've blocked it out into areas where you can go to it seamlessly, but they're themes, so we can tie art and story to those themes. So you're going into the Forest of No Return. Maybe there are darker stories in there, like betrayal, things like that. So we try to tie those into the certain areas that you're going into.
He was mainly using, obviously, his sword during this gameplay, but other enemies were using other stuff. Is there going to be that kind of an option throughout the game of like swapping around gear and different kinds of weapons? Is that going to be part of it?
So yeah, right now we wanted to show, first and foremost, we just want to show the katana, because the katana is king. We say that kind of.
It's iconic. It is the samurai sword.
Yeah. But when we get further on through showing the game, we'll talk a little bit more about how the game expands in progression and kind of mechanics. But there are plenty of references that we're looking at and really trying to figure out exactly what the right thing to do is.
So obviously, being like a big departure from Infamous, what was like a big technical hurdle? Like obviously, you said this is an even bigger world than you normally made. What were the challenges you faced when making something so different?
Well, I think when we decided to make this giant open world game, and it's not open in the way that Second Son is. I think Second Son is beautiful and it's open, but this one we're trying to let you go very far and wide, and so you have this incredibly big technical and artistic hurdle in front of you. It's just scope, and fortunately and unfortunately, Sucker Punch is a high quality bar. We want things to look amazing as well. So those two are really hard things to do both at the same time. So we have to be really smart with the kind of tech that we create. For example, we painted all the skies in the last games to try to map it to whatever story you're going through. Mm-hmm. But now it's all procedural time of day, procedural storms come and go. It could get rainy and wet, and mud puddles come and go. You'll roll around in the mud and you'll just get caked in mud, and the rain will wash it off. We have to figure out really smart ways to do that. Like this sky right here is actually, we created like procedural sun breaks. So because sun breaks are traditionally some of the most beautiful types of skies that you will see. So it's not just procedural skies, like we actually had to go an extra step deeper. So we've had to think about that. Particles in the ground, we've had to work on our particle system so that they work in a world this big that doesn't, load in and load out, So you can there's those hills over there, you can just turn and start walking that direction.
Yeah.
Right? So there's 30,000 particles on the ground right now. So, it's the tech and the hurdle of creating a big game, the scope is definitely the hardest part.
I know, it seems so weird to be watching like an obviously well choreographed fight sequence, and at the same time we're all watching the show going, look at the leaves.
Yeah.
Look at the leaves.
It's
oh my God, they moved again.
Yeah.
Like that was just a part of our watching experience. Like as a gamer, you look through everything and just notice.
Man, but That's the beauty about the art and the music, though, and like it can help so much with just the general whatever is going on screen. Those things can just be super supportive. Yeah. But your question earlier about the cinematics, you're saying how does it inspire it? And even in that scene, like there are things we can do in gameplay that are really simple that don't mess up the gameplay.
Yeah.
Like the camera in the duel actually starts up high, and it's not as dramatic, and then slowly as it gets towards the end, health meters or whatever, it goes lower, and it makes the figures on screen bigger, and it's just more dramatic.
I love
It's a simple
that.
thing, and you can still control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there going to be, just to go into a little more detailed stuff, is there going to be, co-op or multiplayer or anything like that? You can be able to run around with your friends. Single player.
Single player. We're 100% focused on that.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm obviously it's fun when people throw in stuff like that, but I always signify that when they just focus on single player, you're going to get even that much better of a single player experience.
That's our goal. Yeah.
That's just going to. And watching this, I'm like, you guys are doing good already.
Yeah, right.
You guys keep making it as good as possible. Yeah. I'm going to be there day one playing this thing.
Awesome, man.
Seems like we're at about time. I don't think you've released a release date yet. Do you have any inkling of
timelines
when we might get to play?
Oh man, we are just putting it out in the world, so I can't even wrap my head around that part yet. So
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming out and talking to us.
Absolutely, thank you.
The game is gorgeous, and I think all of us here cannot wait to play it.
Yep, thank you so much. Yeah.